Hi, this is Heather Langenkamp from A Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
All right, we're back here at the station of decapitation, WithoutYourHead.com, and now we're joined by Thommy Hutson, who has a lot of awesome documentaries out there that cover the whole franchise. But right now we're going to talk about his new project he wants to get made and get out there, and that is Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street book, 30th celebration. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Very well.
Yeah.
Nice to talk with you.
Yeah, you too. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and we're coming down to the last weekend for the Kickstarter campaign. And you want to let everybody know exactly what this the project is?
Yeah, absolutely. So many people might know, and for those who don't, I'll tell them, I was the writer-producer of the definitive documentary on the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise called Never Sleep Again, The Elm Street Legacy. And there was just so much material, and I'm such a huge fan of the original film, with it being the 30th anniversary of the movie this year. I really wanted to find a way to celebrate, Wes Craven's original classic that started it all in a way that has never really been done. So taking all of the information that's out there, taking all of the fantastic information from the documentary, so much of it was never used, and then compiling new interviews, re-interviewing everybody. I basically, put it all together in one big volume, and it's Never Sleep Again, The Elm Street Legacy, the making of Wes Craven, A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a really gorgeous, oversized, hardcover coffee table book, over 200 pages. It has a chapter on Wes Craven's career leading up to A Nightmare on Elm Street. It talks about the birth of New Line Cinema and that company up until they got A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then there are dozens and dozens and dozens of pages on the actual making of the film. We look in, it goes into the pre-production of the film, the production of the film, the post-production, the marketing and release, and then, everyone looking back and giving their final thoughts as to what it was like being a part of that film, the legacy of the film. It's packed with new interviews, new stories, new materials. It really is kind of the gigantic, never-been-done-before amalgamation of everything you know, everything you think you know, and all the things we've never learned about A Nightmare on Elm Street in one really, really nice hardcover coffee table book.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have the links right on the website, and there's one on the Facebook page for the Kickstarter campaign. And I just would like to ask, because you did say you put out the documentary, which is fantastic, and it covers all the films, and this book is going to cover just the first film. But what about it? What makes it different from the documentary? What will you get from the book that you wouldn't get from the documentary?
You're going to just get so much more. In addition to, when you look at the documentary, and I kind of was talking to someone about this, in the scripted form, if you were to take the portion of A Nightmare on Elm Street from the Never Sleep Again documentary, it's about 45 minutes, I think. And that documentary is just shy of 4 hours. So in that context, that segment is really robust, and it's like, wow, that's a huge chunk of that documentary all about the first film, which is absolutely necessary because that's where it all started. But that's about 20 written pages. The material I have on this, it's a book that's over 200. It's everything. Instead of getting sound bites like we did in the documentary because there's so much information to cram in, we're going to get the information and then some and then a little more. We're going to really delve deeper than anyone ever has before into the making of this movie. We're talking to people that, I've interviewed people that have never talked about the movie before. Some people literally didn't even realize it was the 30th anniversary until I reminded them that the movie was so far out of their mind. And they just had all these really fantastic, interesting stories to tell that have never been told before because they've never been asked. Or frankly, they've confirmed things that we thought were true. They've, blasted things that, are true, aren't true. It's just an amalgamation of so much information that you can only get in this book form, and I was able to compile so much more than we were in the documentary because I didn't have any kind of space limitations. I didn't have just a certain amount of time to talk about pre-production. Here, the chapter on pre-production, I think, is like 30-some pages in and of itself. So you're just going to get everything you thought you knew about A Nightmare on Elm Street and so much more in depth, on top of some fantastic photos that have literally never been seen that were peeled off the bottom of boxes, that haven't been opened in 30 years. So you're really going to get probably what will, I hope, always be the most robust celebration of Wes Craven's movie ever done.
You just talked about the book, covering so much information and interviewing people that had never talked about it before. Are you surprised such a well-known film, such a well-known franchise, especially the first one, that there was still stuff to uncover and people to talk to that hadn't talked about the movie before?
It's kind of like 50-50. I wasn't that surprised that there would be new stuff to uncover simply because there's so many people to talk to that still haven't spoken about it. And I was surprised as well because I thought, I've researched this movie extensively over the years, and I know a lot of people in the cast, and I know a lot of people on the crew. There were some things that frankly shocked me in terms of, I always thought that was true, and they're like, no, that's not, and here's why, or, can you delve a little more onto this subject that we all know about? And then they do, and then they end up kind of giving you a little piece of a gem that we didn't really know. So that was the really nice thing, was I was able to talk to people about the things that everybody knows, and then they gave just a little more to make the story more robust and more interesting and a little more behind the scenes. But then they were offering all these fantastic nuggets and stories of things we didn't know and what was going on behind the scenes. And one of the fun stories that I always think about is the fact that there was a 4th of July party because they filmed on the 4th of July. They were filming during that period. And one of the crew members found Polaroids from that party, and they're just so interesting and so fun, and to see, the cast and the crew kind of interacting in a way that I never would have imagined that this was going on behind the scenes. It's just really fun, and it really, really reinforces what everyone says about this film, and even Wes Craven says that it really felt like a family, and it was a really great cast and crew who came together to make a movie that ended up being really special. And part of that, I think you'll see in even just the photos, is because this crew really gelled. They really worked well together. So it was a really nice experience to talk to all of these people and hear the stories again that we think we know, having them add some stuff in, but then telling stories that we didn't know, stories from the hair department, stories from, the woman who did the makeup, stories from the prop people, how people were promoted from this to that in their rise to New Line Cinema. Just all these great little things that people don't know about, and then all these great pictures that everyone's been finding.
It's interesting. You just mentioned that these people are like a family. Now, obviously, you've known them from your work before. This almost seems like a family scrapbook. Looking at it, it's beautiful the way everything is pasted, and as far as the images that you've shown on the Kickstarter. Anybody listening to this, really and truly, go to the Kickstarter and look this up, because just looking at the pictures, it really is beautiful. I'm not just saying that. It looks great. And do you feel like you were able to get more access than probably a lot of other people would trying to go into a project like this because you do respect that family aspect and it really matters to you?
Yeah, I think you're right on both counts. The book kind of has a family photo album feel to it, the way it's been put together. It's a really gorgeous book, and I have to give so much credit and thanks to Peter Brackey, who is doing the design and layout, and many people listening might know who that is because he also designed, laid out, and wrote the incredible Friday the 13th book, Crystal Lake Memories. But he has gone above and beyond to make this book just visually sumptuous and so interesting that you bring up the family album aspect of it, because that's really the feeling that a lot of people got when I talked to them, and they understood my passion for the project wasn't just to, hey, I want to throw together something for the 30th anniversary, and it could be kind of cool, and, people will buy it, so let's do it. I really had my passion shine through, and just having known a bunch of people, they would make calls and say, you really should talk to this guy. He really believes in it. He really wants to showcase what we did 30 years ago and why it was so successful. So I really think that family aspect has permeated this movie in a really positive way. And, I feel lucky to have helped put some people back in touch who haven't talked in a really long time. And I think it just goes to show you that when a project is special and meant to be, it's going to happen in all the right ways. And I think that's what happened here. And, I really think that shines through in the text, but also in the visuals of the book.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. And I would like to ask, because a lot of people out there are going to enjoy this interview and they're going to be interested in the book, but you're trying to raise a ton of money to make this happen. Can you get into the why this is so important to fund this Kickstarter, just so people can understand what that money is doing?
Yeah, I actually started out with this book, and I had interest for some publishers, and I did talk to some publishers. And the bottom line is, you know, for better or worse, the books that the people wanted me to write were not the book that I wanted to create. I didn't want to just do another kind of cookie-cutter version that we've all seen before, 20 pages on each movie, you know, the pictures we've all seen before, simply because I already did that with the documentary. Frankly, putting the documentary on paper isn't new and exciting, and it's not celebrating anything. So when I ended up not going with those publishers that I spoke with, I decided I want to do this all on my own. I want to write a book that I think celebrates this movie in the most definitive, you know, great way to showcase what a fantastic film it is and why it has the legacy it does. And in order to do that, I did a lot of research, and I wanted to make it not just a great book, I wanted to make it a beautiful book. So, you know, I went with a printing company, Thommy, who is fantastic. I mean, they've been in the business forever. They produce the most highest quality books. So I wanted to go with them. I wanted to do an oversized hardcover color and black and white book. And really, the money is going to the printing of the books. And, of course, there's other fees. There's layout fees and design fees. And this is all answered on the Kickstarter page in the FAQ. But it really was important that this is something that I'm putting together, you know, as a fan for the fans. And I want to do something that fans will support because they really want it and they believe in it as much as I do, and they want it as much as I do. If I wasn't writing this book, but this had come out, this is a book I would want. And that's the kind of thing I wanted to create. And to maintain that creative control, it was really important to put it out there and say, you know what, if we're really going to do this, if I really want to make the book that I think is the best book that can be made with what I have and what I'm able to do, I want to do it independently, so I'm going to put it in the hands of all the fans. And, you know, it's like if you build it, they will come, and thankfully they are coming to the site, and I hope they continue to come because it's really important that we make this goal, because if we don't make the goal, I can't guarantee that the book will come out. There's no guarantee that I'm going to continue, you know, down the road of doing this. I feel like the best way to do it is this way, because this is the book that is going to tell the story, just like the documentary did. We did that independently. That was really important, so we could tell the story that was really meant to be told. And that's really where we are with the Kickstarter. So if we can raise the money, you know, the great thing is it's not just putting money in and saying, great, you know, I'm helping you support the book and one day I'll get it. Most of the tiers are, if you pledge, you're going to get a great copy of the book, a numbered edition of the book, which you'll definitely never get anywhere else, plus signatures at certain tiers. I mean, you're basically pre-ordering your copy of the book. And the only way to get this book right now is through the campaign. And definitely the only way to get the perks, which is like the numbered edition and the signatures, is through the campaign. If the campaign isn't successful, the book isn't really going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street's a beloved franchise by, you know, so many people. But what about it really is special to you?
You know, it's funny. I talk about this in my introduction. As a kid, I didn't really watch horror movies when I was young. My grandmother, you know, forced me to watch a horror movie, and I was terrified but kind of exhilarated at the same time. You know, and then I saw a commercial for A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was really just enraptured by the imagery of that movie. I just didn't really understand what was going on, and it really, you know, enticed me, and I, you know, begged and begged to go see it, and I finally got taken to see it, and I was absolutely terrified. I wanted to leave, and we didn't leave. And it just really stemmed from the fact that it was a genre that was so powerful and new to me. And I thought, you know, even, you know, looking back, it was just smart. It wasn't stupid. It wasn't hokey. It wasn't corny. You know, it was just really interesting characters that felt like people you knew going through this completely crazy situation that you could, you know, pardon the pun, never dream of. It really stuck with me through my entire life. And I have always admired Wes Craven as a writer and director. And obviously this was such an important film for the genre. And it was, you know, if you read the book, it's an important film for him for many reasons. It's a film that really had an impact on me when I was younger. just in terms of making movies and what you can accomplish with making movies and scary movies and smart movies. So I don't know, there was always just something about it that just really struck with me. It just struck a chord that's never really, left me.
I always think in your documentaries you put out, the love of these movies has come through, and I know this. I just want to ask a question part 2. I know the book is about part 1, but I always felt when you put out the documentary that gave like a platform to Mark Patton, and he really became like like an icon in the horror community. Do you feel like your documentary actually helped the second movie like become more accepted, because it was kind of a polarizing film? And after the documentary, I feel like more people accepted it and celebrated.
I mean, hey, if people feel that way, it's certainly something that I know that, myself and Dan Ferens and Andrew Cash, the co-directors of that show, and everyone who worked on it would certainly appreciate. I definitely think what it did for part 2, and frankly some other ones that might have, what some consider to be a lesser sheen in the franchise, I think it did allow people to appreciate them more. And when they went back and watched them, they could see it with kind of a different view and with new eyes and go, okay, now I get it. Oh, okay, that makes so much more sense. And I feel like when you watch it with that information, you're going to understand and appreciate the film more. Because you're right, Nightmare 2 has always been kind of maligned as, it's not a great sequel and it doesn't live up to this. But when you really watch it in the context of hearing Mark Patton and Kim Myers and Robert Russler and Jack Shoulder and David Chaskin really talking about what they wanted to accomplish and what they did accomplish and what they couldn't accomplish, it makes you appreciate the film. It makes you see the film for what it is versus what it could be. And I think that's the beauty of these projects, and even the book that I'm doing. It's going to make you realize, movies are such an amalgamation of so many different things. And there's the old adage that, there's the movie you write, the movie you make, and then the movie that you edit. And it's like they're always 3 different things. And I think when you read this book or you watch the documentary on the sequels, it gives you a better understanding of the process and the feelings and the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears that go into making these things and why they did what they did. And I talk a lot about the things that they didn't do. There are a lot of things that didn't happen for certain reasons, and those will cause debate. Like, that would have been a better scene, or thank God they didn't do that. And it's really nice to be able to explore all those things, because it lets you watch these movies that are 30 years, 40, whatever years old with brand new eyes, and you kind of feel like you're a viewer for the first time again. And I think that's, if I have a small part in that, then I've definitely done my job.
Yeah. Well, let everybody know again. You can find it on Kickstarter, and we'll have the link right on our website. It's right on our Facebook page, and it's just go to Kickstarter, and you can search for it. But it's easier if you just click on the link. And I just want to tell everybody real quick some of the perks that you can get if you help fund the project.
Oh yeah, basically the first level that lets you get the book is the $50 level, and it gets you. You get like special thanks on the website, you get special thanks on Twitter, and you get a numbered edition of the book with like kind of an official seal that basically says this is number 1 out of X, and you're not going to get that anywhere else. And then there's also higher tiers that allow you to get a poster of the incredible art that was done by Nathan Milliner. It's just absolutely beautiful. There's also tiers that allow you to get signatures from myself, Heather Langenkamp, Amanda Wiss, Robert England. I mean, it's just a really great way that all of these people are kind of banding together to celebrate this book. And, it's a really great way to kind of basically pre-order your copy of the book at a really great price and getting some perks, as opposed to waiting, which, again, I wouldn't wait because there are no plans after this at this point. And for the price that you're getting it, you're supporting it happening, but you're also getting some cool things as well.
Yeah. As of right now, there's... Oh, go on, Annabelle.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask, what do you think, realistically, this book would cost?
What do you mean, like the retail cost?
Yeah.
If the retail cost is $45.
So if people are interested in this book, pledge $50 or more, and you've got so much.
Well, you pledge $50, and you help support the book happening. So it does happen. You also get a numbered edition of the book, which that's not happening all the time, and shipping is included. So for $50, you're getting the book. I mean,
You're getting more than you'd get if you waited.
Yeah, if you
and you're
wait.
doing more for you to help.
And if you wait, again, there's no guarantee this book is ever coming out in any other shape or form, but if you wait, you're definitely going to be paying more because you're not going to get shipping included. And, I mean, so this is really the way to go to support the book, but essentially get your copy. This wasn't a grab of, like, let's get a whole bunch of money together and see what happens. It was, let's do essentially, like, let's reward them with a copy of the book. Let's give them a way to pre-order their copy of the book. So it's not like you have to go to the $1,000 tier, you know, and work your way through a cassette tape, a CD, a VHS tape, a T-shirt, you know, a signed 8x10, and then, it's like, no, I want to get the book out there. I want to get the book made and in people's hands, and I really hope that they enjoy it as much as, you know, we enjoy putting it together. Again, I mean, it's a small team of people. I mean, again, Peter Bracke, amazing layout, Lito Velasco editing the book. I mean, such an incredible job going through the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of words, you know, and going through all my prose and making it sparkle. You know, Michael Perez has been helping spread the word, and he would travel on the road with me, going into the mountains, to the beaches, everywhere to get pictures. And so again, Kickstarter.com, search Never Sleep Again. I ask everyone, if you're interested in A Nightmare on Elm Street or horror movies or behind-the-scenes filmmaking, to check it out, pledge your support, grab a copy of the book, spread the word, and you know what, you guys, you can make it happen. It's all in the fans' hands, and I really hope that they see it that way, and I hope they support it because they've been so great, you know, keeping it alive, and I really hope that we can continue to do this.
Yeah, and as of right today, it's there's 3 days left. So when you hear this, if you hear it tonight, if you hear it on the podcast, you know, don't wait. Oh, I'll check that out. You know, in a few days or something, go and check it out right now. And want to appreciate and thank you for coming on tonight.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
Mountains to the beach.
Hey, this is Mark Patton, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. And whatever you do, don't go to sleep.